Part two, so now you've got the alignment A, C is connect, E is for enablement. And again, if you've been a long time listener to this podcast, you know I am passionate about looking at it from the buyer perspective and thinking about how do we enable that buyer, right? How do we get them through the process, not our process, their buying process as quickly and efficiently as possible. And if you can do that, again, reducing friction, you're going to reduce your sales cycle time, you're going to improve your conversion rates. And when you think about enablement, to me, this is really around the process, the automation, the metrics. Because if you're not measuring it, it's going to be really hard to get better at it. But even if we take a step back and think about it from enablement, if you're doing a good job connecting, you've got folks coming through your process, raising their hands and said, yeah, I'm interested. I'd like to do business with you. But if you've got one part-time person that's doing all the lead qualifications or doing the demos, man, you're turning off a good portion of your audience or potential customer base. And it's going to be really hard to get them back. So it's critical you've got one time, one shot to get that right. So that being said, this is really around the process. And as you're going from 1 million to 10 million, you don't have to document and process everything, but really your key processes you really want to do and measure. So that could be your conversion, your sales conversion funnels, your lead to sales. It could be your sales cycle time. There's a host of things to measure, but you really want to align it back to the prospect versus what you're doing internally. So, and too often, too many companies stop there like, hey, all right, we've enabled the buyer, we've closed them. We either have some onboarding, whether we're a software company or service company, et cetera. And now we're just going to flip them into the one column. And now their customers, we're moving on to the next customers. And what I strongly encourage folks and to map this out is customer enablement. Right? So we talked about a buyer enablement, which is how do we get those customers through the process as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Two is, hey, once they've become customers, do we have a onboarding process? And this will evolve. If you've got 10 customers to 50 customers, you're going to get better at it, but have a process to get folks up and running with your product. Part two of that, when I say customer enablement, it's really around how do we enable our customers to get the most value or unlock the value of our product or service while they're using it. So think about that. If we're maximizing their value, that's going to help you definitely in the long run, not even the long run. What it's going to do is going to flip the switch, and that becomes your business development leads for the next round. I think too often we forget that the customers and our customer advocates, which become fans, are our best lead generators, right? Because if they have a great experience with you, love your product, love the way you run your business, what the mission you stand for, they're going to tell 5 people, 10 people, et cetera. If they have an average experience with you or the product so-so, they're not going to tell anybody. They're not going to tell you. They're kind of just going to go away. So the key is to really help them unlock and get the maximum value out of your product or service, because then that helps funnel or build kind of a pipeline for future customers. Because what's more impactful, a customer telling another prospect how good your product is, or you doing advertising or paid ads saying how good your product is? 100% every time you want your customers to be your referral source. And last is S, which I use as support. Now, you could argue that the support could be part of enablement. You're right. How do we support those customers? But I think it's a standalone, because I think deals are going to be won and lost. Companies are going to win and lose. Brands are going to win and lose based on experience and service. Not everything is going to go as planned or as you had hoped. So how do you react when something goes wrong? Does it take you 2 days to get back to a customer? Are you proactive or reactive? And again, even though I've got service at the kind of the end of the acronym, it's really setting it up to support prospects through onboarding, through customers, because again, that's where it's going to differentiate. Think about some of the larger B2B brands you work with, and trying to get real-time support in some areas is really tough. And the advantage you have as a growing business is to build this into the DNA of the business.